Hi, it's Anne Sermons Gillis, and I want to talk to you about some aspects of EZosophy. Most of us are drowning in complication and stress. That is, unless we live in a cave. Maybe even if we lived in a cave, it could be complicated and stressful. There was a student who goes to a guru and says, "I've heard so much about you, Master, and I want to achieve enlightenment, and I know I have to learn to meditate. Will you take me on as a student and teach me to meditate?" So the guru takes on Rashmi, and Rashmi gets a mantra and he learns how to meditate. And then the guru says, well, now you need to have some time away so that you can not be distracted by anything. And Rashmi thinks this is wonderful because all he wants is self-realization and enlightenment. So he and his guru go off to the hills, and there's a cave there, and the guru has arranged for him to meditate and have one meal brought to him daily. And so Rashmi says goodbye to his guru, and he goes into the cave, and it's just so wonderful. And he sits, and he has, for days, he gets his food, but he sits down, and he says, "Oh Lord," he prays before every meditation. And then he goes into this deep meditation. But one day he finds there's something nibbling on his feet, on his foot. So he looks down. Was a rat. He had a hard time concentrating with that rat. He would close his eyes and he would try to meditate, but he couldn't. So he decided, he said, "I can fix this. I'm going to get a cat." That's what we do at home. We get cats to chase away the rats. So he got a cat. Well, he would sit and meditate, and then he would hear meow, meow, meow. And he realized that he was going to have to feed the cat. So he says, okay, well, I've got to have some kind of easy way to feed this. Maybe, a cow. A cow can eat the grass in the surrounding area, and then I can get milk. So he gets a cow, and he thinks, oh, no, now I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to milk the cow and to feed the cat to chase away the rat. So he said, well, I'm going to have to get a milkmaid. So he gets a milkmaid, and the milkmaid milks every day, and the rat's gone. All of this is good, but as he sat there, he starts thinking about this milkmaid. This milkmaid was pretty hot. It's like, whoa. And he couldn't seem to get his mind off the milkmaid. So finally he says, well, I'm going to go visit her. So they visit, and they visit often, and they visit more frequently, and before you know it, they fall in love, and they get married, and he has 3 children. He has to get a farm, and a few years later, the guru comes by, and he wants to see how Rashmi's doing, so he goes to the cave. But he finds the cave abandoned. There's no one around. And so he walks until he finds someone, and he says, has anyone seen Rashmi? He says, oh, yes, Rashmi lives down the road. So he goes down the road. He finds Rashmi. Rashmi opens the door, and he's so happy to see the guru. He says, oh, Master, come in, come in. I want you to meet my family. So the guru goes in and meets the family, and he looks at Rashmi, and he says, Rashmi, what happened? And Rashmi goes, well, there was this rat. There's always a rat. That's the problem with life. There is always a rat. And the question is, how do we handle the rat? So there are 2 kinds of suffering when I talk about EZosophy, which is the philosophy of ease. And the 2 kinds of suffering are, one is ego-driven suffering, and the other one is genuine suffering. So genuine suffering is when something, well, let me tell you a story that'll illustrate genuine suffering. And that is, when you go in a forest, if you're shot with an arrow, you want to avoid the second arrow. And the first arrow is the arrow that hits you. Maybe it goes through your arm. But the second arrow is the emotional reactivity to the arrow that goes through your arm. That's like, oh, why did this happen to me? This is the worst thing. I was just in the forest. I shouldn't have hit by an arrow. So it's the emotional reactivity. And so that's the second era is ego-driven struggle and suffering, and the first era is genuine struggle and suffering, whether it be an emotional suffering because someone has died, or whether it be painful because the body is in pain. I want to go over 4 kinds of ego-driven suffering. The first kind is suffering that it's just the one I went over, and that is suffering about the second arrow. It's the emotional reactivity. And the second suffering is the suffering over inconveniences in life. It's like, well, just because I'm me, I shouldn't have to suffer. I mean, being me comes with a privilege, and I don't have to wait in line. I don't have to do windows. Those things are beneath me, and if I'm inconvenienced, that's not going to work for me. And of course, that's a crazy kind of suffering because, I mean, all of us are going to have to wait in lines. I mean, that's a part of life, lines. And if we get indignant, then it's ego-driven struggle and suffering. So what is the third kind of suffering? It's having to maintain our lives. Refrigerator breaks down, you have to buy a new one. It's not, oh, why in the world is this always happened to me? It's because appliances are not immortal. So refrigerators are going to break down. Cars are going to need to have the oil changed. We're going to have to brush our teeth, or we're not going to have very many close friends. And if we suffer and struggle, we have to take our trash out. Our house is going to stink. That's, to get this sense of entitlement because we have to maintain our lives, it's crazy because 80% of our lives is maintenance. And the last kind of ego-driven struggle and suffering is glorifying suffering. You'd say, well, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Like, well, I had to really suffer, and so that makes me important. And this person has had it really easy, so they don't know anything about living. And it glorifies suffering. It's the martyr. I have to suffer so much. Oh, after all I've done for you. And so that's the fourth kind of suffering. Actually, when you say somebody was born with a silver spoon in their mouth, we all need to be born with a silver spoon in our mouth, because even if we had plenty of money and we had plenty of things going right in our lives, there is life itself, which seems to bring many, many obstacles, and how we deal with that, those obstacles really determines who we are and how we are in the world, and whether we enjoy life or we don't enjoy life. So in Buddhism, being free from suffering, this ego-driven struggle and suffering, is really freedom. It's enlightenment. It's self-realization. So back to the 8-word miracle mantra. The 8-word miracle mantra is everything can be easy, or at least easier. So it can be easier if it's this genuine struggle, because this genuine suffering. If we lose a friend, I had a friend that died suddenly, and it was just a terrible thing for me to deal with. It was genuine suffering because I missed her so much. It was a terrible experience to go through, but it was easier because I had so many friends reach out to me and hold me and let me cry. It would have been just much more difficult if I had to go through that alone. And even if I didn't have anything external, there is a balm inside of us, the balm of Gilead that's been called, this real sweetness inside of us that can minister to us when we're hurt and in pain. And so everything can be easy, or at least easier. Now, what can be easy? The stuff that can be easy is the ego-driven stuff, because that's just made up suffering. That's drama. Ego, drama. So we can drop that. So this is Anne Sermons Gillis. I want you to remember the 8-word miracle mantra, and that is everything can be easy, or at least easier. And remember, I love you.